Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream celebration for this Sunday, March the 21st, 2021. We welcome you again to this celebration. What comes from the heart reaches the heart, and we invite you this morning to experience our heartfelt prayers, songs that come from the heart, a message from our assistant minister and spiritual director that comes from the heart, the things that we do today that each week we have been doing for now and a year in this pandemic. We invite you to continue to stay safe, continue to love one another, continue to wear your mask, and to do all of the things that you can as we move forward together, understanding all truly is flowing and God is in the midst of all things. Peace and abundant blessings, and welcome again.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's Open Heart Spiritual Center virtual service. I want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for saying yes to being here with us this morning. And I greet you, I bless you, and I see the God in you and the God in each and every single one of us, knowing that this day is already perfect. It's unfolding so beautifully. And I just give thanks for this time together. I give thanks to everyone that has a part in today, the music, the message, the reading, everyone that has a part in today. And yes, I give thanks for you for being a part of this service. And so I just know this time is already so wonderfully done. And I just let it go, let it be. And so it is.
Our theme this month is March Sameness. And our affirmation, I realize a greater truth that comes from within me as being the absolute. I anchor into this knowing because the higher wisdom self within me is constantly guiding me and directing my paths, making every crooked path straight. I acknowledge God in all my ways and believe that the voice I hear within me is God. I know its sound. I realize its call to action. I abide in the truth of my higher wisdom self, and I celebrate in the joy that all things are working together for the good.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth, all the stars, and all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine His light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is to shine its light, and God needs us to shine its light, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here am I as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
I will be reading a passage from The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I will live this day as if it is my last. This day is all I have, and these hours are now my eternity. I greet the sunrise with tears of joy as a prisoner who is pardoned from death. I lift my arms with thanks for this priceless gift of a new day. Also, I will beat upon my heart with gratitude as I consider all who greeted yesterday's sunrise who are no longer with the living today. I am indeed a fortunate man, and today's hours are but a bonus, undeserved. Why have I been allowed to live this extra day when others, far better than I, have departed? Is it that they have accomplished their purpose while mine is yet to be achieved? Is this another opportunity for me to become the man I know I can be? Is there a purpose in nature? Is this my day to excel? I will live this day as if it is my last. I have but one life, and life is nothing but a measurement of time. If I waste today, I destroy the last page of my life. Therefore, each hour of this day I will cherish, for it can never return. It cannot be banked today to be withdrawn tomorrow. For who can trap the wind? Each minute of this day I will grasp with both hands and fondle with love, for its value is beyond price. What dying man can purchase another breath, though he willingly give all his gold? What price dare I place on the hours ahead? I will make them priceless. I will live this day as if it is my last.
Good morning. These are your announcements. Happy spring equinox. It has been over a year since the world shut down, but spring beckons us with the promise of new possibilities and renewal. The spring equinox, which officially began on yesterday, but we're recognizing it today, is when the forces of day and night are equal and the new season can officially begin. The equinox coincides with the rest of the astrological calendar, and for many cultures, it also signifies the beginning of a new year and a moment of spiritual rebirth. And oh, how we all need that energy this year. Happy spring equinox.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
At Open Heart, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer. We're setting the mental equivalent for healing, comfort, strength, and wholeness for all these persons you see on our list. We're holding space for you, and we know that it's already done in the mind of God. In celebration of Women's History Month and in honor of the many women on whose shoulders we stand, Women of Achievement invite you to drop by the historic Elmwood Cemetery today from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. There will be hosts to welcome you at graveside and tell the stories of Women of Achievement honorees such as Lita Smith Merriweather, Roberta Church, Lena Angeline Warner, Maxine Smith, and others. Come by anytime between these hours to walk or drive around the lovely grounds. Our Carolyn Head and Judy Card are helping to host this event. A year ago, I don't think any of us could have predicted that we'd be where we are in terms of the pandemic and COVID-19. This Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Central, we're going to reflect on how those things have been and our hopes for the future during our Wine and Words event. We invite you to join us via Zoom at our website. Come and share with your family, your Open Heart family. Hope to see you there. How do you meditate? What is mindfulness? These questions and more are being discussed in our virtual book study led by Villa Willis, our assistant spiritual director and minister. This group meets each second Thursday of the month. The book they're using is The Headspace Guide to Meditation and Mindfulness by Andy Puddicombe. The great theologian and mystic Howard Thurman said, "How good it is to center down." And we do that each Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. Central Time for our Love Grid meditation. Britannia Allen leads us in a 15-minute meditation session. Enter the meditation room at our website. I want to thank Akila Battle for providing our affirmative reading this morning. And yes, you too can do it by recording yourself during your reading and email it to jgilmore@openheartspiritual.org. Start your day, or for some people, continue your day with our daily affirmative prayer call. It takes place each and every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Dial in, and one of our prayer team members shares an inspirational reading and then prays for you. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am richly blessed, creating a greater and greater flow. Thank you for all of you who continue to give, reminding you of our conscious giving. You can do so via our app. You can go to our website and click on the Give button, or you can text the word GIVE to 615-422-4292.
Two women, Melinda Elliott Kramer and Nona Brooks, one born in 1844 and the other in 1861, one raised in the Quaker faith, the other raised Presbyterian, both seeking to grow spiritually, one in San Francisco and one in Pueblo, and both in need of healing. Each came to beliefs that are the foundation of the divine science movement. The main founder, Melinda Elliott Kramer, was born in Indiana in 1844. Plagued by persistent health problems and upon a doctor's advice, in 1872, her family moved to San Francisco for the clean California air. There she soon married. Her health did not improve, and she lived as an invalid. Family and friends advised her to seek further medical treatment. She refused. Raised a Quaker, she prayed regularly. When asked what she planned to do, she said, "Get well, of course." And she prayed. In 1885, after spending an hour in meditation and prayer over her condition, Kramer had a divine revelation. She later said that that hour was the beginning of her realization of the oneness of life. Freed from the belief that her medical condition controlled her, she was healed within 2 years. Energized, she began informally teaching family and friends what she had discovered. Though the term was used earlier by Mary Baker Eddy and others, in 1887, Kramer began offering formal classes in divine science. She and her husband established the Home College of Divine Science in 1888. Meanwhile, she started Harmony, one of the first metaphysical magazines ever published. She became a major teacher in New Thought and began traveling the country offering classes. Nona Lovell Brooks, who would come to be described as a prophet of modern mystical Christianity, was born in Kentucky in 1861. She was raised in West Virginia, where her family moved their 11 children to avoid the violent Civil War. By 1886, she and her sisters Althea Brooks Small and Fanny Brooks James were living in Pueblo. Finances were poor. Nona was in ill health, unable to swallow solid food. A friend insisted that the sisters study with Kate Bingham. During the 4th lesson, Nona had her own revelation. She was flooded with a great light and was completely healed. Financial improvement quickly followed. She and her sisters were delighted, but they realized that their beliefs weren't in alignment with their teacher. Nona said, "We had at that time no thought of establishing a movement. We discussed the subject for our own satisfaction." In 1893, Melinda Kramer began training Nona, ordaining her in December 1898. With the name approved by Kramer, Nona established the Divine Science College in Denver. On January 1st, 1899, also with Melinda's blessing, Nona and her sisters established the first Divine Science Church of Denver. There, Nona became Denver's first woman pastor. She held the position for 30 years. After Kramer's death, it was to become the home church of the Divine Science denomination. At that point, Nona Brooks became recognized as the leading voice of divine science, and the movement continued to expand. By 1918, there were divine science churches in many large cities. At the height of her popularity, she decided to resign her pastorship. Despite strong opposition, in the early 1930s, she was granted a leave. She moved to Australia for several years, strengthening the divine science movement there. Upon her return, she often spoke at New Thought summer conferences. In 1938, she became president of the Divine Science College in Denver, a position she held until 1943. 2 years later, on March 14, 1945, only 8 days before her 84th birthday, Nona Brooks made her transition. Both women were prolific authors on the topic of divine science. Vitura Papke so believed in treatment that she didn't want to know the story. And it was that absolute faith in each person's perfection and oneness that made her such a powerful teacher, practitioner, and spiritual guide for so many. Vitura Papke was born in 1901 in Kansas City, Missouri, and born into a well-to-do family that deeply supported the Baptist Church. She was always a spiritual rebel who, at age 13, refused to attend the Baptist Church. Reluctantly, after a family fight, Vitura stayed in the church but left at age 18. When Vitura came to California in 1937, she had mended her feud with God and had progressed from being a Baptist to Catholicism, where she discovered her love of ritual and confession. Vitura said, "The Baptist church taught me that God loves me. the Catholic Church taught me how to pray, confess, and forgive myself. Then she embraced the teachings of unity and taught that for many years. Finally, she came to religious science when two people told her that she really belonged more in science of mind. Frustrated by their comments, Ventura was determined to prove them wrong. She investigated more, took a class, and she realized that she had finally found the teaching and knowledge she had been seeking all of her life. Papke had a unique relationship with Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind. Initially, Holmes's wife, Hazel, served as his practitioner. Upon Hazel's death, Ventura Papke became his practitioner and was responsible for several innovations in the process of spiritual mind treatment and roles of practitioners. At 94, she was still sought after as a practitioner. Dr. Papke influenced two generations of healers. On March 19, 1997, Ventura Papke made her transition, and thousands still remember her fondly. Kathy Sue Sagerson was one of two people interviewed for a blog. She remembers Ventura opening up each of their practitioner classes with the same affirmation: I am an irresistible magnet with the power to attract unto myself everything that I divinely desire, according to the thoughts, feelings, and mental pictures I constantly entertain and radiate. I am the center of my universe. I have the power to create whatever I mentally choose and accept. I begin choosing and mentally accepting the highest and best in life.
It's time now for our centering moment. In our segment on women who have been impactful on New Thought, we learned about Ventura Papke and how at the beginning of her practitioner training classes, she used to use an affirmation that we're going to use for our centering moment this morning. I am an irresistible magnet with the power to attract unto myself everything that I divinely desire, according to my thoughts, feelings, and mental pictures I constantly entertain and radiate. I am a center of my universe. I have the power to create whatever I mentally choose and accept. I begin choosing and mentally accepting the highest and best in life. Let's take that in for a moment. Think about those things that we mentally choose to focus upon. Wherever our attention, intention go, creative energy flows. Breathing in, and giving thanks for it all, knowing that it already is done in the mind of God. As we form the mental equivalent, we allow it, we welcome it, we give thanks for it, and so it is.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing beauty today. I'm choosing beauty today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing beauty today. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I choose compassion today. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing life today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing joy today. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I choose abundance today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing beauty. I choose compassion. I'm choosing grace. I'm choosing life. I'm choosing joy. I choose abundance. I'm choosing heaven today.
As it's Women's History Month, I begin today honoring women who were way makers. Sacagawea, the native woman who guided and supported the Lewis and Clark exploration of the Louisiana Territory, her knowledge and connection to the land were essential to keeping that exploration party safe, from harm, and on the right track. I love the scene in Hidden Figures when John Glenn is orbiting the Earth in Friendship 7, and there's some concern about him getting back safely, and he has some questions about that new thing, the computing, and he says, they're like, no, John, it's okay. And he's like, is the girl in the room? Because they had shown the scene before that Katherine Johnson had the capacity to demonstrate her mathematical genius with John Glenn in there, something that room full of men hadn't done. And they're like, no, dude, probably not dude, but everything's good. And he's like, is the girl in the room? And actually she recalls that he said, is she? But they all knew who she or the girl was. And they went and got Katherine Johnson, and she came and reassured John Glenn that all was well and that he would make it back based on the calculation. She is a waymaker. The shuttle program, the Sojourner Mars rover, Voyager 1 and 2, and of course the Mars rover named after another amazing woman, all were contingent upon the success of Friendship 7, Katherine Johnson and her magical mathematical mind is touching generations to come. With joy, I watched Amanda Gorman share her gift at the inauguration, knowing all the while it was another waymaker, Maya Angelou, leading and teaching us to do the best we can, and when we know better, to do better. I thought about Betty Friedan publishing The Feminine Mystique and how that sparked women's consciousness and to understand that we were in control of our body and we had our voice meant something. And Gloria Steinem, another waymaker who is still being felt today in the fact that women are no longer valued or judged on their singleness or marriedness. You're not just Mrs. or Miss, you can be Ms. And that opened the door for other options. Women have been waymakers across generations. And making ways, straightening paths, I got inspired by the sentences in our affirmation for this month. I anchor into this knowing because the higher wisdom self within me is constantly guiding me and directing my paths, making every crooked path straight. Where that wording led me to the sacred text of the New Testament, or the sacred text of Christianity. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked roads shall become straight, the rough roads smooth, and all the people will see God's salvation. Making a way, smoothing things out, brought to me the song Waymaker. And you are a waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. And I thought about, of course, Master Teacher Jesus, a miracle worker, that all of what he did operating through his Christ consciousness was an example, a living example to us of how we are to be in this time, in a time when the world seems to be crazy. I mean, police officer says dude had a bad day, so he shoots up a bunch of Asian Americans. Really, I've had plenty of bad days. That's what ice cream and Snicker bars and whiskey are for, right? Not, let me get a gun and kill people. Crazy. Just this state talking about letting people carry guns without license and open carry. Crazy. Governors dropping mask requirements in the midst of us just barely going forward. Crazy. But there is a saneness that comes when we look at the example of Jesus as a miracle worker, as the way maker. That there is a sanity in that example of straightening out crooked paths. And how is it done? Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, miracle worker. I love it. Water to wine and feeding the 5,000. That's the straight path. The crooked consciousness that had to be straightened out, or the crooked path, was there's not enough. There's not enough wine. There's not enough food. We don't have what we need. That's crooked, crazy thinking. The straight path, sane thinking is, this little boy's lunch is plenty to feed everybody. We run out of wine at the wedding. Here, use this water. Put water in those canisters there. Best wine ever. That if a miracle needs to happen, it's fine. That's the straight way. Light in the darkness. I love it. It says that he hung out with sinners and folks who work for the IRS. All right, now, Rena, better watch out. Actually, they said tax collectors. And tax collectors at that time were considered traitors because they were working for the Roman government, who was occupying that territory at the time. The straight path, the sane way of thinking, is that all are welcome. Namaskar or namaste. I see the divinity in you. So no matter what tag society has given you, Master Teacher Jesus demonstrates all are welcome. Everyone is worthy of divine love and divine connection. Light in the darkness. Today you will be with me in paradise. It's always one of my favorite of the 7 words, because of all the words, that's the kookiest. Okay, this narrative has Jesus hanging between these 2 men, One is saying like, dude, if you're so magical, let's work this out and get us down from here. And the other person says, hey, don't be disrespectful. And he says, remember me when you come into your kingdom. You mean as I'm hanging here next to you being executed? But he had that divine sight. And based on that, the other guy had crooked consciousness. This guy had straight consciousness, a straight way of seeing. He had smoothed out. And Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. That outside circumstances don't determine the final solution. That all is well. And all things are working together for our highest good, even being executed as a criminal according to the narrative. I will see you in paradise. That is the miracle worker. That is light in the darkness. We see something very similar exemplified in the journey of Buddha. That the crooked path for Buddha was that he was a spoiled prince. He was also a real person, Prince Siddhartha. Kept inside the palace, controlled by the thinking and what other people thought was best for him, the desires for them. But one day he got out and he saw death and sickness and suffering, and it touched him. And he went on a journey looking for something bigger, better than himself. And as he came to the understanding of a oneness with the divine, of a oneness with all creation, he became enlightened, the Buddha, the enlightened one. And that is also our path, the straight path for us, the smoothed path. The crazy thinking, the sane thinking says, there is suffering and wrong things happening in this world, but it's not my path. Or it's not going to stop me on my path. Or it's not the only place I am on my path. And I can continue, even in the midst of seeing things that I don't like. People terrorizing this country, trying to take away our democracy. I will still move forward on my path of my connectedness and my oneness, and learning and expanding the truth of who I am. That even Buddha on his journey, the Prince Siddhartha on his journey to enlightenment, that suffering is a choice. Hard times happen to all of us. That's how we grow and become better people. But suffering is our choice. And that is the waymaker, the sanity that Buddha brings to the world. I close today back with nod to Women's History Month. In my AME days, there was the crooked path at one time, that women are not called to preach and would not be recognized as preachers. Now, we know that got straightened out thanks to Reverend Dr. Vashti McKenzie, the one and only my mother in the ministry, Bishop Carolyn Tyler Guidry, and Bishop Sarah Davis, who passed away. And now there are two other women bishops, one whose father was a bishop before, and his name just went out of my mind. But there was that crooked thinking at a time that women could not preach and will not be recognized. Well, a waymaker who straightened out that path, who disconnected from that crazy consciousness and went to a sane consciousness, she's now called Reverend Jarena Lee. They have ordained her posthumously. But when the founding bishop of the AME Church, Bishop Richard Allen, told her women could not be ordained, she left her child at his house and went to preach the gospel. We are called to be waymakers. We bring the energy of the divine to straighten out crooked consciousness. Crooked consciousness is lack of funds, lack of love, lack of acceptance, lack of time, lack of possibilities. I can't do it. I don't have the right talent, whatever. That is crazy. The sane way, our March saneness, the way that we smooth out, fill up the hills, lower the mountains, is that we come bringing the miracle waker, the waymaker, the miracle way, the light in the darkness. We come living, moving, and having our being in our Christ consciousness or in our Buddhahood, in our enlightenment. I ask us this week to think about ways that we can be waymakers. I wish you all a happy and gorgeous spring, and I see the divine in you. Namaste.
There was a time
myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yeah. Do you want to be free? Then let me hear you say yes. Yes, I'm only here for God. I know.
I thank you for being so real and touching me, letting me see what a beautiful world this world is. And I thank you for all that's revealed. Well, you're changing me and opening my time, blinded eyes to see my glorious possibilities. I like this song. Oh, and I pray for strength to keep seeing just